Can you record it? Does anyone can record it?
Getting recorded.
Does anyone has a permission to record?
It is getting recorded, sir.
Oh, sorry, my speaker is off. Yeah. Sorry, yes, good afternoon. Yeah, I just want to check whether anyone has rights to record, start the recording.
It's getting recorded.
It's getting recorded.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So, okay. I just now I saw that. Okay, let's start. Sorry about it, it's late, but we have stopped at lecture 6, part A, slide 11. Lecture 6. Let me share the screen. Let me share the screen. Okay. So this is a point where we have stopped last lecture, lecture 6, part A. I flash my slide. Can you all see it?
Yes, we can see.
Hope you can see it. Yeah. All right. So we were talking about network infrastructure, actually functional area of IT operation. So there is a position called a network administrator. Now he or she manage the data and network communication. This will include your local area network. What is local area network? Within the premises, building, area network is called a local. I mean, local means it doesn't cross the, what do you call public areas, like, road. It doesn't cross a road. So it need not to be a one building. I mean, it can be a campus network also. So within a campus, couple of buildings are connected, but that's still again their property. So within their property, if you network using fiber optic cables or whatever, that's called a local area network. Then there was a concept called a metropolitan area network. So maybe within a city, if you build up a network, we call it a metropolitan area network. So wide area network means across cities, if you build up, we call it a wide area network. But now actually we don't use that word much on metropolitan. We normally simply nowadays we use local area and wide area. Now let's think about this way. Now, if it is within a university premises, it has multiple buildings, but you connect it, and then you make a network. It's called a LAN or office, head office, entire thing. Then you have a metropolitan area network MAN. Let's say Colombo City, if you build up a network, then it's a MAN. So what is a wide area network? So if you build up a wide area network, entire branches, if you connect it, let's say, we'll take an example. We take a bank. We take NTB. So NTB also a couple of offices are there. I will take Navamouth office. So within that flow-to-flow connectivity is there. So we call it that's a LAN. All your desktops, laptops, everything connected on the LAN. Now then, in this case, you're connected to the SLT or any service provider. SLT, IPVPN or anything, okay, or dialog. Then you connect your branches. These are branches. So many branches. So this entire network, if you call it, it's a wide area network. Okay. But let's say if you are thinking about only the Colombo city network, all the branches connected, you can call that as a metropolitan area network. Same in the Kandy, or province, I mean, Western province, you can call it a metropolitan. Then, or maybe Colombo district can be considered as a metropolitan. Gampa district is another metropolitan network. Like that, we can call. But that idea of metropolitan is now we don't talk much. We just demarcate it to wide area network. But from the exam point, they can ask, So internet system or other forms of data and the data communication, network communication is called. So network administrator's job is to look after this network. So if the network is not working, he has to identify whether the links are working. If the link connectivity are right, then the other communication equipment like routers, switches we discussed last time. So whether those equipments are working. So that is his job. Make sure the network is running. So network administrator responsibilities include installing network system. So he has to go and install the switches in the flow to flow in a building like this, so he installed the switches. And all these switches are, I explained to you last time in a diagram, connected to a core switch. And from the core switch, it connected to the router. Route means routing. You route it to a wide area network or to internet. And then wireless networks also in between you have it in certain some flows. You might have wired network as well as like in the boardrooms and all, that you might have a wireless. So it's a Wi-Fi. So whatever it is, his job is to manage the network and resolve network problems. So if they say this is not connecting, his job is to resolve that problem why this is not connecting. So that is his job, the network administrator. The system administrator, he is in charge of make sure that the computers are functioning, including the hardware and software. He may need not to know about the network. So he worried about taking backups every day and check whether that you can recover from the backup. I mean, you can put it to backups and, tapes or whatever it is. But if these tapes are damaged, in a case where when you have a situation where there's a disaster happen, now you have to restore from the backups. And the backups also don't work. So you have to regularly check this backup whether you can recover from the backup. You don't put it to the production system and try to recover. You recover to another system and see whether everything is in fact. And maintaining the computer system. So it's a system administrator job. So if there's a question like that, what is a network administrator's job? Is to manage local area, wide area, metropolitan area networks. And he has to make sure that networks are installed properly. He does the installation, maintenance, management. System administrator look after the hardware and software systems, IT systems. Systems has both hardware and software and do they data backup and recovery, maintenance and all. So system administrator responsibilities overlap with network administrator responsibility at times. I mean, even though you said these responsibilities, that sometimes they are overlapping. I'll tell you why it's overlap. Now, a person complained of his help desk. IT department will have a help desk. A user complains that my computer is not working. So when the computer is not working, network administrator will not go. The system administrator will call the person. If it is within the building, he will go to that place and then check whether hardware and the software is working. So he realized the hardware and software is fine, but he's not connecting to the servers over the local area network. So then he has to depend on his services from the network administrator. So sometimes if he also know a little bit of a network, he will also troubleshoot and correct it. But then if the way he correct it is not proper, then the network administrator will blame. Okay, your job is a system administrator, but you're trying to do the network administrator's jobs and mess it up. So that's what there's overlapping in. Because in the universities, on IT universities, they learn, the basic networking also by the system administrator, so he can handle it. System administrator responsibilities include, what are the responsibilities? System administrator: installing and testing computer equipment, network system. Yeah, that's the overlapping comes up. So the network system also he will test, install and test. Resolving help desk request. I mean, the help desk call comes to not to network administrator, system administrator. Then they will direct it to the right people. So designing and upgrading systems and processes, and monitoring the system daily for potential problems. So they have to watch out for the system. What are the problems they can anticipate? Sometimes servers are at a very peak, performance goes down. So these things you have to just check. Any question on this area? Or the last time I draw up a local area network and show it to you, a building, how it wired, and things like that. So then web infrastructure. So network infrastructure, system infrastructure, then the web. So web is where you're connecting to internet. Why we are connecting to the internet? Because otherwise your customers don't know about your services, or they cannot use your internet bank. If it is a bank, internet banking services, online banking services, whatever. So the web infrastructure has to be there. So the internet is a network of networks over the world. So networks of networks. What do you mean by the networks of network? Internet is a network of networks. So maybe you might have multiple, the banks has a wide area network. So many wide area network put together only make the internet. So internet is descended from the original ARPANET. So ARPANET is the earlier one. So it's a product of US Defense Department's Advanced Research Agency. So that is introduced in 1969, ARPANET. The idea was to have a network that could not be brought down during an enemy attack by bombing a single central location. So, during 1970s, before 60s, there were wars. World War One, Two, all that happened before that. So now they are thinking how we can protect this out, from the enemy attacking, bombing a single central location. So central location, if you have all the computers and the system, if that is attacked, you're all gone. So you have to have systems in other locations. Well, what is the point of having other locations if these systems are not updated in an emergency? You can't use from the other location. Then you need to network. So then only this ARPANET connected initially the universities and then the population. Now you have let's say, very simply, you need to now HSBC might have hosted their services in, let's say, a data center globally, like maybe their headquarters in Hong Kong. So maybe even though they are in Hong Kong, if the Hong Kong central bank doesn't have a rules to where it is hosted, so they will be hosted in a cloud. But cloud, they will ask which data center they are hosting, because you have to plan the DR. DR can't be in the same place. So then the cloud service provider give a DR in completely opposite place, or maybe thousands kilometers away, so that even if a disaster happened, the DR information is there, So ideally, minimum you have to have a DR to primary 10 kilometers distance, minimum. But that's not sufficient.
Sanjay,
Yes.
just to clarify, now in cloud environments, do they really let us know where their data centers are located, like in a DR perspective, or Because they just say that they will provide the connectivity, or other the systems will be providing within for our according to our RTO.
No, no, you can ask them. You can push them. Now, I mean, I have located my ACS Access Control Server 3D Secure in AWS Cloud, and I mentioned that my primary has to be in Singapore and the DR has to be in Mumbai.
Oh, okay.
And then they confirm, yes, they have shown the evidence that primary is in there and DR in Mumbai. So you can, I mean, this is like this, now let's say if you just take simply Gmail or something like that small service, you can't tell them where it is coming, so that's you're not aware about it, but if you corporate, if you're hosting, you have a right to ask where the data is there. So there are laws, I mean, the biggest problem is the laws, so data belongs to the country, which is the center is there, in some countries. So then there is, I mean, this is where the central bank does not give full right to go and host it in the cloud, the main data, like core banking data or anything like that, because the data loss in the world. I mean, it's not, cloud is not reliable. It is multiple reasons, basically, actually one is very old thinking, I mean, you can specify whether you have it here or not. Second, you all know, I mean, Sri Lanka, if something happen, if you want to sort of seal that place or something like that, if a CID comes, there should be a place, no? Basically. So if that is in the cloud, no one cannot go and seize anything in operation. No one knows whether the operation is seized or not. So maybe for that purposes, because the systems are not, I mean, they have not studied, I mean, the global banks are doing, global regulations are there in a central bank. They have not studied. They're always saying we are studying, but I don't see anything that they're studying.
Don't think they don't have that understanding. Yes.
At that time, I mean, you have to get a consultant, the global consultant, and see, how England is doing, how US is doing. I mean, some certain things we can't do it as they are doing it, because other legal infrastructure may be not, geared to that. But at least you have to do these reforms very quickly, because I mean, they have to be very clear what are the services you can have it cloud, what are the services you can't have it cloud, and that has to be very clear. So you can mention the location. Yes, that is possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So then this ARPANET was retired in 1990. So now we call it the internet. And the network is a collection of hardware devices that are interconnected so that they can communicate among themselves. So, I mean, if you look at the entire internet, so many devices are connected, hardware devices, so many routers, millions of routers are connected. So this allows different hardware to share software and communication data. So the hardware is located in different locations and all are connected. I mean, a very simple, like for example, I mean, in your office, if there is no network, sometimes if a printer is attached to a computer, sometimes you can only print it from that computer only. But if you have a network, now you can get a printer, network attached printer, so the printer also can be attached to network, and many people can share the printer. I mean, good old days, when there is no proper network, printers were attached to the PC, desktop, and sometimes you have to go to that desktop and print it. Or sometimes, in other worst case, they have to share their hard drive and then remotely access from other PC this hard drive and send the printer job. This is a little messy. So now you can share resources, because why should you have printers for every person? There's no requirement. So the resource sharing can be done very easily with the network. The internet is an example of a network, but many officers have intranet. Now that this can be a question from the exam also. What is the difference between an internet and intranet? So internet is a global thing. It's a big network. We all know that it's millions of devices are connected, servers. But the intranet is within your net. Now let's say if a bank has for their internal employees. I mean, what are the things, I mean, they can have information such as HR information, the HR handbooks, forms to fill and all that, download from internet. Or maybe for marketing collateral, the product proposals and things like that. But internet, everyone cannot be accessed. They can give rights, and you can build the internet. So internet is not publicly available people to access. This is for the internal purpose. Internal means otherwise you go and bother other people and asking information. No, with the common information, if you can put it there, if each department is required those information, and then they can access from that system. So instead of human mediated communication, so what it solves intranet. So your communication early it was human mediated. So you have to go and bother somebody else and ask for data information, and he has to human mediated to computer mediated. So even intranet, your MIS system, all that what they are trying to achieve is. So otherwise, what will happen? You go and step accounts department and asking account detail, and then if marketing department wants to prepare a marketing collateral, they go and ask from many people. So if you have an intranet, they can share common things, events, everything, so they can have access. Even the e-learning can be run with the intranet in electronic learning. So they can connect to the intranet and then run. So normally, traditionally, intranet is available internal network. But if you want, you can provide when the employee is even outside the office through a secure VPN, he can connect it to the internet. Now, let's say if you have put e-learning into the intranet, but then when you go home, if you want to access the e-learning, yes, you can provide that secure connection to the intranet. So it's a within the network. There are a lot of common things that you have to put it in order to avoid human mediated communication to computer mediated. So that's the purpose of internet. I think all of you all, definitely the banking clients, I can say majority will have a intranet site. I mean, this is not public access. So your public access internet servers are here. I mean, we normally put it in this way. Okay. Now this is the internet. No? Internet. So customers, whoever can come to your office. Here, let's say customer. Or not a customer, somebody, normal user, who is interested about your company, wanted to get some information. So he come to your web server. So web server is kept it outside the firewall. So this is your firewall, the secure zone. After that, you have top high security. But basic firewalls are there for web server, but web server, even if they hack it, the issue is not big. So let's say you have then, the switch. You can have a secondary web server internally. Secondary web server. So it syncs with this one. In case if this is hacked, we can restore this web server from this one because it's there inside. So this inside firewall, we call it a militarized zone, MISED zone. Militarized zone. Here we call it a DMISED, demilitarized zone. So this is not secure, not secure. I mean, you don't have very, very high security, but inside it, it's secure beyond this firewall. So it's firewall means it's like a wall with fire, so no one can jump, So then your secondary web server. But then your all other rest of the stuff, intranet, it will be kept here. Intranet and your application servers all are here. Sometimes you segment it also. Then your users also connect into this switch, bank users or company users. So then they can access these application servers, intranet servers through intranet. So they only need to go to internet in case if they wanted to access internet. I mean, your branches are not connected through internet. Sorry, these are customers. Okay, so branches may be having your private IP VPN service, and through that you are connecting to the branches. Okay, I mean they are not connected to this web server. I mean before the web server you hit a router. This is called a router. So this is the way we connect it. So militarized zone, demilitarized zone. So you keep it like that. I hope this is clear. Anyone has any questions, you can ask. Okay. So this in internet facilities, inexpensive communication and information transfer on computers with gateways allowing mainframe computers to interface with personal. So you can connect your mainframe. I mean, these are good old days. You had this IBM Z series. Z series was not there earlier. Now Z series, the mainframe. So they are connecting to these computers, terminals, and they had a interface, the local area network, or people can come from the wide. So very high-speed internet backbone carrying signals around the world and meet at access network access point. So today we have a very high-speed internet backbone carrying signals around the world. Okay, I'll show you the picture around the world and different network access point. I'll show in the next slide that point here. Okay, I'll show you. So if you ask for a submarine cable map, I mean, too many cables around the seabed they are running. For example, Sri Lanka also they get this cable entering from multiple points. One is from Mount Lebanon Center, other one from the Gaul it enters. I'm not sure whether there are other points in Colombo other than Mount Lebanon. There's another port in Colombo also, like closer to the Colombo harbor. So these where that fiber cables are coming. A huge chunk of cable. I mean, these cables carry internet, voice traffic, IDD voice traffic, all that is carried. I mean, if you look at the satellite, the other mode of communication is satellite. But today, if you look at the amount of traffic that the satellites carry, there is a huge number of carried by these, these cables all over the world. I mean, this is, I mean, in the data internet cables, we call it, there's a project called CME. In that CME project, you can see cables. Yeah, CME 4, CME 5, like that. There are cables. So show you video or an image. Okay. Now you can see me for C hyphen CC area. This is C me for. See me B. There's see me also like. So you can watch anything, how they lay out, how they put the cable, how they bring in termination, how do they terminate in different countries.
Why the fiber is more popular than satellite, Sanjay? Because I heard that the fiber optic is more costly than the other things, other medias, right? So but nowadays,
Yes, satellite is expensive. There are two reasons why satellite is not so. I mean, we keep the satellite. Earlier, it was a lot of satellite. So if you look at this is the way. I mean, there's videos you can go and watch. How they draw the CME cable. I mean, this is Sri Lankan one. This engineer, he was one of my students, and now it's a senior DTF. And they said because there in that cabling, check, find anything. Hope you can see. This is the way to run, not for only 3 weeks. Here the ship you can see. So you put here you put this part. You bring the cable. Like God. Content. Okay. So you asked me this question, why satellite? Interesting. Yes. Let me tell you. Now this R.C. Clarke only gave this idea. The world is a sphere. This is the Earth. And if you keep satellites, 3 satellites minimum, at the height of, if I'm not mistaken, this is 19,000 kilometers, okay? At this height from Earth. This orbit is called geosatellite orbit. That means any satellite going on this orbit, I'm not sure if it is 19,000 now, 38,000. I can now remember, okay? Let's say 19,000, you can just calculate. So this height, the Earth also rotates, no? Now let's say Earth rotates this way. So this satellite also rotate at the same speed. Now you might ask, okay, why a satellite? How can you keep the satellite? It will fall down because of the gravity. No, it's a concept called centrifugal forces. අර ඒක අර අපි ගලක් කරන් ගැට ගහලා string එකකට කරකවනකොට ගල වැටෙන්නේ නැහැ බිමට. මොකද වැටෙන්නේ නැත්තේ? string එකෙන් ඇදලා තියා ගන්නවා. කැරකෙන හින්දා centrifugal force එකක් තියෙන එළියට විසිරෙන. එළියට විසිරෙන දැන් මේ satellite එකට තියෙන gravity එක තියෙනවානේ. gravity එකක් තියෙනවා 19,000. But there's another force when it is rotating to pull this out through to the universe. So these two, when it is balanced, it won't fall. I mean, you can keep at any orbit. I mean, you can't keep it at very low, this thing like, maybe at least you have to pass 100 kilometers. To go to universe, you have to pass 100 kilometers now. But even at the 100 kilometers, the tiny air is there. So the friction is there. So go more than that only, you don't get the, the particles, it's empty vacuum space. It's not perfect vacuum, but it's vacuum. So when you have these two forces balanced only, it won't fall. But there are different heights of orbits you can keep the satellite. But those orbits, the satellite is rotating at a different speed, not the same speed as Earth. Now here at geosatellites, so this is called a geosatellite. So geosatellites means station. At any given time from that Earth space, it is station. So that is, there is a height. At that height only, this goes on that same this speed. It won't fall or it won't throw out to the universe, So these two forces will balance. So these two forces will balance at different points, Like, for example, if it is close to the Earth, you have to send that satellite so fast because the gravity is high, and then you have to have a centrifugal force going out high also to balance. But more beyond, when you're going to a different point, higher the point, the speed you can reduce because the gravity is less. So satellite rotates. If it is a spacecraft, that's what when you launch the satellite, you launch it like this, and it go and get it to the orbit. But when you launch a rocket, it will go and it will move out from the gravity and go to moon or whatever, the place or universe. So this point, it will not fall. So Arthur C. Clarke said, if you have 3 satellites, this satellite can cover this. This satellite can cover this. The entire world is covered. And these 3 has to have a microwave communication so that any call you take it through a satellite call can terminate at any place in the planet Earth. So let's say there's a house, there's a person here carrying a satellite phone. He calls it to the satellite. And this satellite is microwave connected to the other. So his friend or somebody standing here, and he also has a satellite phone, he can communicate with that. So the satellite phone is the only option if you are going on a ship or plane. So the plane also you can't communicate when it reached the higher this thing at that speed, because our GSM networks work at speed of don't work at speed of more than, I think, 150, 180 kilometers per hour, over 100 kilometers. It can't roam that speed. So that's what even in the bullet trains, they have a separate system. Otherwise, you can't make calls, at 500 kilometers to 400, 500 kilometers per hour. So these are our normal mobile networks. It won't roam that fast from tower to tower because towers fast, pass very fast. Call drops. Aircrafts also, it reach at 900,000 kilometers per hour. And also it go about 30 kilometers from the planet Earth. So that side, you won't get any signal at the speed also. So you have to have satellite phone when you're on board to communicate. In a ship also, unless it come closer to the coastal, you can, yes, receive the signal, but otherwise you have to have. In a desert also, you have to have satellite phone because desert, nobody covers the GSM network because there are not many people going, economically not viable. So these places, whether you like it or not, you have to carry a satellite. But answer to your question, this satellite amount of data they are taking is now less compared to the fiber cables. There are multiple reasons. One is launching a satellite is very costly. So your data cost is so expensive, than drawing a cable under the seabed. Second is there's a millisecond delay is high because the signal has to travel 19,000 kilometers and come back on 19,000 kilometers. Now let's say if you connect the 2 branches on satellite communication, that signal has to uplink to the satellite and come down. Okay. And if it is a different branch, then it has to go up this way, this way. So 19,000 kilometers, when it goes at the speed of light, even there is a nanoseconds, milliseconds difference is there. You can calculate it 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second on the speed of light. How much delay? So that delay is very less when you put the fiber optic cable because along the river seabed, I mean, it won't have that level of a distance going up and down. So some application time out with that milliseconds delay. communication. I mean, more than that, I think that timeout can be resolved, by application programs to fine tuning. But the bigger problem is cost. And CME projects are happening. So now then you might ask, who is funding for this CME project? These national carriers actually part of the CME project. Sri Lanka Telecom, India. So all of them, agreed at certain prices to buy this CME. So they all together only this making this network, the voice and data communication companies. Did that answer to your question?
Yes, Sanjay, interesting.
Okay, right. So so this is we were talking about backbone signal around the world to meet the very high speed internet backbone. The computer programs such as web crawlers, spiders, and bots access and read information in websites. So most internet users obtain connection through internet service providers. So we connect to ISP, either Dialog, SLT, Hutch, or anything. So that in turn connect either direct to the backbone or to a larger ISP with a connection to the backbone. So we don't mind. I mean, we get a connection from Dialog, 4G router. Now, how do we get internet? I mean, internet, let's say if I have to watch CNN or BBC, then that traffic is not within the country, no? So then it has to go via that fiber optic networks around the country, I mean, these cables under the sea, it's not only data communication, telecommunication cable, even electrical cables also we draw. So when you can go and see that electrical cable network in the sea, the huge electrical network cable also there. I mean, but not like data. Some continent, okay, you can just see. So big power cable, the marine power cables, like this many cables, under the water it travels. Let me see an image. Here, these are the cables that they put, electrical cables. Here, I can't see a network of only the undersea cables are there, separating out the power cables and yeah, I have to search. Underground cables are there, but none of these pictures. Yeah, I just search a little bit. You can find the the cable hidden the ocean, the power cables. But not like fiber cables, because you don't take electricity from country to country. Only some countries only sell the electricity to other countries. Nearby countries. I mean, you don't take like a fiber cable a long distance because the power drop is there. So you have to convert to DC and take it. Normally in long distances, you don't take ACs. Country to country type of a cable is a DC current, you take it. So like that, we have so many cables running under this. So we take it from ISP, but we don't know how it is connected now. This is connected now, let's say, if you are in Sri Lanka, or you are accessing internet, you don't know which internet site is coming, but this has to be updated. Now, if it is BBC News should be updated from one point and it has to reach here and it has to be current news. So our traffic is going from um, internet. But it's interesting that if you can make headends, that's what the countries does, now let's say Sri Lanka. Okay. Now, if we use, let's say if you bring Google Cloud here, let's say Microsoft, if you get a Microsoft headend in Sri Lanka, then if you are getting from Microsoft data center is hosted, head end is hosted in, need not to be Microsoft own data set. Microsoft head end, you can take it to SLT data center or dialog data. But then dialog or SLT has to go and sign with Microsoft and ask them to host their part of data center in their location. And then the advantage is, let's say if they have Microsoft 365 here, then if you are accessing 365, I mean, if you don't install 365 fully into your PC, if you have installed a lightweight 365, then if you're accessing on the cloud, then it will be faster because it comes from the terrestrial network. That is local network within the country network. But if the Microsoft had it in Singapore, then it has to go through the fiber cable and this way now, fiber cable to Singapore. So that's what even the cable TV like Netflix, if they had this head end here, there is a better thing, So what they have to do is put up a head end for Netflix and bring all the movies here. So then any updates only come from this fiber cable, but local community access Netflix from this one. So then the telecom providers should be able to give a good price because it doesn't consume their fiber. If they consume this international fiber, they have to pay a lot. Within that network, yes, because that you have anyway built up from the towers, you can come up with. So I think our country internet is expensive because these cable companies, these uh, internet service providers or telecom service providers doesn't have that bargaining power to go and negotiate with them and ask them, okay, or maybe the volumes are not big enough to have a Netflix head in here so that local users can access. So I'm giving for Netflix access this many GBs at a very lower rate because he doesn't have to pay for, service provider doesn't have to pay for internet bill for outside because this pipe, only the CME cables, if you're using, you have to pay a lot. So you can do that. But maybe it's a economic case. Netflix also might not find it not enough clients, to put a head in, and it's not viable. So it's a commercial case end of the day, whether to put head in or not. So to put the Google head in or Microsoft or anybody come and put it, so they do that commercial calculation. Uh, so then there's topology, topology of the backbone. So what do you mean by the topology? Topology is the way how it is connected. I'll explain that. And its interconnection may once have resemble a spine with the ribs connected along with the length, but is now almost certainly more like a fishing net wrap around the world. Many circular path. So it's like now like a fishing net. It's not here is connected, there it's connected, and that place to that place connected. It's not a one-to-one now circuit, and different cables are going. So the web infrastructure, I mean, in the world, we don't have any other ways to communicate with the country. Either you put fiber or inside the countries you lay the cables. Let's say, for example, somebody can say, okay, why not China and India connected through a fiber network and via Nepal? And then they share. But because of this political infighting with these countries, they will not like to sort of lay the cable, in their land. So going via the sea is the easiest. But of course, gas, they have to do it. So that's what the gas pipe coming from Russia to Europe and all that. And there is a tariff, gas transit tariff they have to pay. So when the gas line is going from one country to another country, you have to pay a small duty amount, that's called a transit tariff for that country, because they are allowing you to lay the gas pipe. So like that, the world has certain agreements. But of course, data networks, I don't see cables wiring across countries because of this political indifferences or something like that. I don't know exactly reason, but only I see use the sea for many occasions. And also you can see this even for this one, connecting the Egypt, Syria, and all that, they were using this canal, because that's the place where the ships also going, like open place. So they were using that place to drop. They never try to go via the Saudi Arabia, crossing that boundary one. Maybe maintenance is, maintenance could have been easy if you go on a country, but then again, there's a possibility of damaging it also very high, by the people. So the web infrastructure, the three main parts of the internet are the servers that hold information, the clients that view the information, and the transmission control internet protocol, TCP/IP, transmission control protocol, internet protocol. So this is the protocol that connect to the common language connecting two computers is the TCP/IP. So you can see your computer will have a IP number, 192.154.60.2 or something like that. So that's a common number, and that number is very unique by network devices to device. So then when you are connected to internet, you might not have a static number. The number will be given dynamically by the service provider. But if you want a static number, you can go and pay more and get that. Especially if your host has to be communicated, then you have to get a static. So I'm not going to go that detail of TCP/IP because that's not required for this course. So a gateway makes connection between the dissimilar networks possible by translating two or more different protocol families. So there are gateways, internet gateways. So they translate two or more different protocols. Can be TCP/IP to any other now. Now actually TCP/IP is the very popular protocol. The bridge joins two similar network so that they looks like a so you can have a one network like this, another network like that, so we can bridge it. Okay, make a one network. So then mainframe communication. What do you mean by mainframe? Mainframes are the largest computers on commercial space. If you look at IBM Z series, it's the mainframe. Let me show. So then the next one is business servers. This is mainframe. Then we call it mini computers. IBM Z series is the mainframe. But IBM, this AS400, now you call it OS 400. Now OS 400 is operating system. Now you call it I series. No, yes, I series. I series is the main mini computer. I series, P series. P series is RX, other server, not the IBM S400. There's another server called P series. So both are coming under mini computer. Then it's below that performance one are called normal servers. These servers can be Intel processor servers or AMD servers. Other than these mini computers, IBM only has these ICDs, PCDs, but you get Sun Solaris, Sun servers, you get. There are many other brands also. HP also has many range ones. But majority of the servers, what you see is a rack mount servers are PC servers. So it's called so these are the mini computers are there for banks and all. They have AS400s and all that for run the core banking system. But some other application they are not running on the AS400. It can run on the PC side. So then
yeah, sorry to disturb. On this IBM, sometime back IBM is so popular, right? Now it's getting not that much, right? Not that popular, isn't it?
Yeah, the reason is this, so earlier IBM World Trade Sri Lanka office was the local guys are reporting to Singapore office, IBM Singapore.
Now India.
Not India, So that time it was a fantastic, and they had a lot of training sessions and a wonderful office. I can remember I used to go there. We had training sessions every week. We had a training. The Singaporeans are culturally very close to Sri Lankans. I mean, we think we are very close to India, but culturally Singaporeans are more close to Sri Lankan culture. Like very jolly well, and the style that they manage it is different. But then what happened is, I think last 15 years, 10, 15 years, I think maybe 15 years or 10 or 15. This has been Sri Lanka office directly comes under India office. After Indian took over, that, things has changed, I mean, the attitude towards Sri Lanka is like they look at like a little boy, or, the treatments are not good, So then they probably don't understand the culture, So then a lot of people left IBM and the quality of services went down. So still it is IBM, so the IBM name is there, brand is there, powerful products are there. So during that time, I think, I can remember in 1990s, IBM was powerful, and then informatics had this Siemens Nixdorf series. Those are also very powerful, and Bartlett's had Unisys servers. So these three players were dominating in the banking sector. But then gradually, Millennium IT came in, and with that Sun servers, they brought Sun. That was, and now it's many products are there. Actually, IBM, we have at least many installation, but India doesn't have even that level of installation. The reason is when this Gandhi, that is that lady, that Indira Gandhi's time, she nationalized the company. She asked every multinational company either sign up with a local partner and get it nationalized. So Microsoft, IBM then closed the office and went. So because of that reason, IBM server installations are not there in India, very less. Sri Lanka, they have, because Sri Lanka, we had this office for a little longer time. So then we have these Intel servers. Then we have these workstations. So workstation is not server, actually, it's a more graphical one, Then you have your desktops and laptops, So, but beyond the mainframes, you have these supercomputers, but they are not used for normal business application. They are used for research, defense, very high power computers. It's not required for database performance. So this is the computer. So in this CIA course, they talk about mainframes, If you want to see a picture of it, you can just Google it and see IBM series. IBM is very powerful for mainframe. Just want to show a video of that in one small video I'll show. How they assemble a Z series one. It's maybe like a one rack whole computer. Really, it was too big. The Sampath Bank to bring this mainframe computer to this new building at Navamma. They have to remove the roof at second floor window or something. They have to remove it. Well, from the lift they could take it. So this entire rack is the mainframe computer. This is how they connect the mainframe parts. But if you look at these IBM supercomputers, So they were using for research purposes. You can't even order those items, you know. So, I mean, you can watch some videos on the supercomputer, faster supercomputer. You know. I don't know whether they are showing that also in the video. Yeah, this interview only. Okay. You have to get the defense approval. You want to order it, you know. So it's a dominated, I mean, electronic data processing field in the first decade. So mainframes were arranged so that all the processing and the data storage were done in single centralized location. So communication with the mainframe was established with the use of dumb terminals. So what happened is in the time of mainframe computers, when they're in the market, the PCs were not there. I mean, personal computers, your today computer was invented in 1984. No? I mean, 1984, the personal computer was invented by IBM. And then it opened the architecture, everyone started producing. So, but Sri Lanka, we get it, I think, on 1990s one. I mean, you know, in a little scale, you know. So the mainframe computers were there in 1960s to 70s. So they have no way to connect because there's no PC. So they connected these through a ring network. So there is a caller. They are private ring network. The terminals they were attaching call a dumb terminal. Dumb means non-intelligence. So these terminals they had the copper cable and we attach. There's a small connector. So these dumb terminals were attached, and that machine alone it can't work. It's not intelligent. It doesn't no CPU. It's like a monitor, you know, type of a thing, monitor and a keyboard. So I think it's like a green color fonts are there, no mouse, you know, no GUI, DUMB. Dumb terminal means non-intelligent. Dumb means non-intelligent. So let me show at least image of that. Okay, so these are the images. You know. So good old days dumb. Even that got like a yes. So this green color, you know, I have seen. I don't know whether your office will have. So this type of a computer was the terminal, you know. No GUI. Yeah? That time there's no GUI application also. So PC was not invented. Uh, yeah, I have put the picture. So dumb terminal connected like that. It had a keyboard, but if the network is not there, you can't work, you know, because it's processing everything done by the mainframe computer. So then you have this web infrastructure. So there's an increase in decentralization happen with the network, you know. So improvement in technology have led to now decentralized. We have to do it with the networks are not very good. No, so the mainframe computer all the time is connected. The improvement in the technology have led to increasing decentralization of information processing. The mainframe style computer was used only arrangement available in the early days of data. I mean, IBM stands for actually International Business Machine, the abbreviation IBM, dominated the market. So mainframes are still in use at large institutions such as government, banks, insurance companies, and universities. However, remote communication to them are usually through personal computers rather than through dumb terminals. Uh, So early it was dumb terminal. Nowadays also we use mainframes, but now we don't use dumb terminal. We use PCs, you know, and we run a terminal emulation software. As mini computers evolved, after the main computers, the second lowest one is mini. Yeah? The concepts were distributed processing. So at that time, banks also started distributing, and sometimes they are not all connected to the head office. There's a regional server. The regional branches are connected to regional server, and the regional server only connected. So that's called a distributed computing processing. All are not processing central. So distributed processing involves the decentralization of processing tasks and data storage and assigning these functions to multiple computers, often in a separate location. So this allow for a drastic reduction in amount of communication traffic because data needed only reside locally. Now, let's say if it is a Colombo region, you have a, like a mini small computer. And then Gampaha, you have another one. But Colombo, all the branches are connected to here. Okay. Gampaha, these branches are connected to here. So these two are communicating, but that doesn't require that many high-speed network. But if it was a centralized head office or primary data center, if you have to connect, then your links have to be high speed. At that time, we didn't have these high speed links. So, I mean, then the possible way is regional wise you have servers so that even if that server fail, only that region will get affected, not the others. And they connect these regions, together. So that was the method that they adopted. So increase in decentralization happened during 80s. Personal computers and the knowledge needed to build information system became widespread. In the early part of this period, the primary means of moving data from one computer to another was through the laborious process of copying the data to a diskette and physically carrying it to a destination computer. I think this also, when the network was not there, no? So this was like a floppy disk. I don't know whether you can remember 5 inches floppy disk, then came up with 3 point something inches floppy. The magnetic media is there. You have a small drive and that you have to put this disk. And capacity was, I can remember, 1.44 MB. Just imagine 1.44 MB, only the capacity. It was clear that the reliable way of writing office computers, wiring office computer together would lead to a tremendous gain in production. So then only this networking, all this came. Earlier, you had to copy into this floppy disk. This is called a floppy. Floppy. If you Google it, you can see probably the pictures. The servers. Then the servers. Servers is generally a dedicated computer or device that manage specific resources. A file server is a computer in a network that operates as a librarian. All the files you can keep it. Web server hosts the website. The enterprise server manage computer programs that collectively serve the needs of the organization. So like that, you can have multiple server, email server, like that you can have it. So one of the risks associated with having data centrally located as the data files may be subjected to change by unauthorized users without proper documentation or any indication of who made the changes. So there was a risk if you have all that in centralized, unauthorized person. So you have to take a precautions for that. So you have to see where whoever enter into those days, walk into the data center, they have to put their names. There are so many approval processes. But now you don't have even to go to data center. You can access from your desktop if you log in access. You might, if the security is not there on the user level security, they can probably break the security and go enter into the server's files. So then we have different languages and protocols under the web. So web infrastructure. So we are talking about web infrastructure. So web infrastructure has many things. Uh, uh, Internet, and then the mainframe, servers, then the language. So internet was initially restricted to email and the text-only document. In 1980s, English computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee conceived the idea of allowing users to click on the word or phrase, that's a hyperlink, in their screen and having another document automatically be displayed. So then he is the one who has introduced this hyperlink concept. Now you have this www, all these web links are hyperlinks. So Berners-Lee created a simple coding mechanism called hypertext markup language. That's called a HTML. Now we call it HTML, hypertext markup. That's a programming language to perform this function. So the web pages you can write with the HTML language. he also created the set of rules called Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP, to allow hyperlinking access the internet rather than on just a single computer. So he then created a piece of software to access these hyperlinks that's called a browser. Now we have a browser, and the browser you can access this language, hypertext markup language, whatever the URL address. So that's the hypertext transfer protocol, the protocol HTTP. So through that you can access not a single computer anywhere in the world. So this allows users to read HTML from any brand of computer. The results was the world. So when the standard came, I mean, now any computer can access as far as they support this HTML based thing. So this became a World Wide Web. So it's like a web nest, So all are connected because they all talk in the same language mechanism that's called a HTML. As the use of HTML and its successor language spread, it became possible to display rich graphics and stream audio and video in addition to display text. So now you can stream audio, video like matches, you can show online. So this capabilities came. So because of this hypertext markup language and the hypertext transfer protocol, we built the browsers like Google Chrome, Safari. Those are browsers. Firefox. Search engine is different. Search engine is Google. Google Chrome is a browser. Then now you can build a World Wide Web, WW, through this. So this is the history, Um, so in 1990s, the World Wide Web, and then the Mosaic web browser came in 1993. Netscape Navigator came in 1994. Now they are all gone, disappeared. Internet Explorer, Windows. Windows didn't have that. That's what the Netscape was having the market share. Then Windows introduced the Internet Explorer, 1995. 2004, Mozilla Firefox came as a browser. And the 2003 Safari introduced Safari browser. And 2008, Google introduced Google Chrome. And then 2015, Microsoft introduced, instead of the Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge. So the Microsoft Edge is the browser. Okay, is that clear, or you need little better explanation? World Wide Web. So World Wide Web, only this, so this any site when you go, these are URL. The URL you can access any place because of this. It support HTML, hypertext markup, HTML. So you can learn, if anyone who learns HTML, it's easy to make, websites, very simple website. Anybody can build up with. They are even your own website with HTML. So this is like programming code. So if you learn a little bit of HTML programming, anyone can build up. Okay. But that's not the only way to do that. But that's a very basic way to do it. Okay. So let me explain a little bit of web. This is not part of the course, but for your knowledge. But this internet also, if you really look at those browsers, in this picture, you see there's so many web browsers. You can see Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, all these browsers. But these popular browsers can access only the surface web. The Google, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all are like a tip of the iceberg. You can do it because these are all structured networks only you can access. But unstructured, internet has so much of a data. But majority of the data you can't access with these structured browsers like Google, Yahoo, Bing, and all that. Because a lot of unstructured data is there in the deep web and the dark. Okay. All non-indexed content. Yeah. Index content only Google can access. Non-index content you can't access. Research papers. You know, I mean, a lot of people do illegal stuff also with these browsers. You can do it. But if you want to search a little bit more with the non-index stuff, you have to use deep web, dark web search engines. Chrome, you can't do it. So let me teach you, how you do that. That's not important for basically for the CIA post, but it'll be important to learn anything that you want to know in a very quick space, speed. Have you studied this area, deep web? Have you done something on Google Advanced Search? Okay, let me quickly go through that. So Google, this you can see, everyone can see Google. But this advanced search, you can do that now. Let's say, for example, if I want to write, understand about, I want to have article on Mahinda Rajapaksa, but I don't want Shiranti's name to be appear. I want a little official one. So then I will write it like this. Mahinda Rajapaksa space minus Shiranti, and I want from Sri Lankan sites. So the site types mark like site colon.lk. And then I want a PDF document. So then I look at file type colon PDF. So this type of browsing is called a advanced Google. It's not just a normal Google. So you just type it, and then you get these articles. All these articles comes from PDF files. And those are from Sri Lankan sites. And those articles will have only Mahinda Rajapaksa's name, but not Shiranti's. So you look at any of these articles, which I got it here, which will only has a PDF, but let me just take this one. So this will not have. So you can search this article, Shiranti's word, you won't get it. No, 0. So it is not there. Okay. Then it's a PDF document again. So this is called advanced Google. But now you might ask, okay, how I'm going to remember minus, plus, space, domain name, date, all these, little complex. So you go to this symbol, the wheel thing, or you type advanced Google in the Google. Then you're going to advanced Google. So this whole thing, what I've written here, it's like this: Mahinda Rajapaksa. None of these words, Shiranti word is not there. And it has to come on .lk sites. If you put .edu education site, like every area domain names are there. If it is IIN India, .com, all that is there. So there is Adobe PDF file. So you can prefer whatever the file you want. And then you do the search. So if you want plus, that 2 words has to be there, you can do it. But if you want only that word, you have to put within inverted comma. Okay, but you don't have to worry all that, you just go to Google Advanced. So if you want exactly the word of face, just you put this here. So in this space, you put it that exactly that word only. Every article with that full word only, it comes. And if you want a time, yes, you can mention, okay, I don't want very old ones. I want this. You can select the language also you want, anything. So that's called advanced Google. Is that good enough to search. No. Then I told you about you have this deep web, dark web, those unindexed content you can search it. So then you have to, if you want to search through those, you have to go to dark web, deep web. So then you have to install this Tor browser, TOR. Go to this Tor project. And then you download this browser, Tor browser. So I will not download the browser. I have this browser. So what I do is I straight away go to Tor. Start Tor. So Tor browser is a VPN browser. So it's cut across some of these local firewalls and things like that. So you can connect it, through this. I mean, service provider level blocking locally. If you're trying to block it, you can't block that, or some provider something. So this has a search engine. Now that search engine by default you get this DuckDuckGo. Here you can see. So DuckDuckGo is the search engine of Tor by default. But you can put Google also. But Google can't, as you know, that Google can't do that unindexed search. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go there, that same syntax, I'm going to copy Mahinda Rajapaksa minus Shiranti, the file type of PDF. Then I go and go to this Tor browser, and then I place this one, because even the Tor or the DuckDuckGo doesn't have a advanced feature like Google on typing the advanced, but it understands. But it doesn't have a menu like that. Put that one. So now you can see there you get articles which you don't get it in Google normal browser. So you get these articles on. Okay. So you never saw that this article versus what it has now. So here you get more articles which even Google can't find it, because it goes to, and you can just go more results, and you can just go on like that with this. So this is something that if you want to quickly find something out, some information, when you're doing business, you need to quickly get certain stuff, and see whether you can check that the reliability is a different story. But you can use it. Is that clear? Anyone has any questions on that? Shall you go on then?
Yeah.
Okay. To the Tor browser. Okay. So then you can this HTML extensible markup language was developed by an international consortium and released in 1998 as an open standard, usable with many programs and platforms. So XML is a variation of HTML, so which was used fixed codes like to describe how web pages and other hypermedia documents should be presented. So you can use XML language to build also the website. So XML codes all information in such a way that the user can determine not only how it should be presented, but also what it is. All computerized data may be tagged with identifier. Now, in your bank, if you are uploading into the central bank this GoML report, you have to upload it in the XML format. Otherwise, they won't accept. So they have not yet automated. You have to do that manual upload, but in XML. So unlike HTML, XML uses codes that are extensible, not fixed. So thus, if an industry can agree on a set of codes, software of that industry can be written that incorporate these codes. For example, XML allows the user to label the uniform product code, price, color, size, etc. for goods, so that the other system will know exactly what the tag reference means. In contrast, HTML tags would only describe how items are placed on a page and provide the link to other pages and objects. So that's the good thing about this XML language. So then there is a extensible business reporting language, XBRL, for financial statement and the specification developed by AICPA-led consortium for commercial and industrial entities that report to the accordance with the US GAAP. So XBRL is a variation of XML that decreases the cost of generation financial reports, reformulating the information for different users, and sharing business information using electronic media. So that also you can use for generating a report. Now, users normally, there's an explosive growth in World Wide Web access. I mean, even today you have large number of people. I mean, how many times you Google it per day? You can't live without Google. So new distribution channels open up for a business. So consumers could browse a vendor's catalog using a rich graphics of a web. To initiate an order, you can make remittance of payment, or we pay on internet web, from the bank digital platforms using. So all these convert of their homes. So from home you can do all that without going in. The organization presence on the web is constituted in the website. So your organization has to also have a presence in website. The website consists of a home page, which is the first screen encountered by. So when you are logging into any website, the first screen comes up is called a home page. So also then and then the subsidiary sort of web pages screens are constructed using HTML or similar language. So the first page comes when you click a button, it goes to another page. So you can develop those things by HTML, simple language, the web pages for the users. So every resource on the web has a unique address. So made up of alphanumeric characters like period, periods, and forward slashes and things like that. So that's called a uniform resource locator, URL. So URL is recognizable by any web-enabled device. For example, this GLEM courses, you can access by www HTTPS. So HTTPS means hyperterminal. The secure means S. Otherwise, you get HTTP :/www.glem.com. So this is called a URL. Why? You can locate universally. I mean, you can locate universally. Sorry, uniform. So it's not universal, right? It's a uniform. It is accessible from that. If you have your bank, like, let's say sampathbank.lk or .com. I don't know whether it is .lk or .com. But that can be accessed through anywhere in the world from that uniform resource locator. However, just because the address is recognizable does not mean it is accessible to every user. Security is a major feature of organization website. So organization website should have some sort of a security, just because it is accessible to anyone. So then these domain names are used in URLs to identify a specific pages, So that's what the .com, .gov. The domain names contain descriptive suffix of gov, government agencies, .com for commercial business, .edu for educational institution. Like that, you allocate the last 3 digits for .aero, AERO for airlines. So like that, domain names are allocated. And then for the countries also allocated .lk, .us for US, .lk for Lanka, .in for India, .uk for UK, like that, they have that final name for country-wise domain. But you have to put either country-wise or, your commercial site.com. So cookies are small text files created by a website as a means of recognizing users and tracking their preferences and activities on the website. So every website they use cookies, things like that, Okay. Let me show you domain names. Okay, there are plenty of domain names. Okay, that is one. So you can check from the domain name when you just put into uh, 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 yes, yeah. Different domain names. So you can see if you want to check whether this domain name can be taken, you can go to uh, GoDaddy or different sites. You can reserve your domain name also. GoDaddy. There are so many things. You can officially buy domain names from this place, and that will be different. Different people are selling on these domain names. So you can type a domain name and see whether it is already given or not. So if it is not given, you can purchase that domain. Is that clear? It's unique now. Say sampathbank.com or whatever, it's unique. You have reserved and you have to pay annually a fee for that one. So .lk sites are managed by University of Morocco. There is a group. The but reservation and I think cost is about annually 5,000 or 10,000 rupees. But .com and all, not the price only, but reserving that exact name must be not available.
Sanju, shall we have a break?
Yeah, we'll have a small break. 15 minutes. Shall we go up to anyway 9:30? We are going up to right now. So it's now 8:40, 8:55 will start here.